I don't know if you've heard of pomodoros. I don't know
Mm.
why they're called pomodoros. It's
Yeah.
quite a rogue name, but it's the idea of studying for 20 to 25 minutes and then a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
I used to that was like I swore by pomodoros. The risk is when you're taking that 5-minute break that you've got to be quite diligent to come back to the work after like roughly
Mhm.
5 minutes. But and sometimes also you might just be in a complete flow state
Mhm.
where it's all going well and
Mhm.
you don't need the break. But once you kind of have a balance, I would my day would be kind of really to uh, I have some objectives that I need to do in terms of work objectives and questions that I wanted to go through, exam questions, but also like a rough aim of how many pomodoros I wanted to go, and wanted to do. So then it would always my day would kind of be um, uh, it would never end up being just a 6-hour block,
Mm.
work endlessly until it's done,
Yeah.
which I you'd the only time I think one could really do that is if they were in a phenomenal amount of pressure that's really beyond like a situation that's beyond as important as exams are, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, so the only situation I can, yes, absolutely, and again, we can do that as one-offs.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
absolutely can. So if, for instance, you're somebody who gets, sometimes universities use 24-hour exams where they set you a question. The 24-hour exam, by the way, doesn't mean you work for 24 hours.
Yeah.
It means you've got 24 hours from start to completion. And working in a longer block then might make a bit of sense for some of it. If there's a bit of just churn that you need to do, if you're in a
Mm,
science thing and you just need to run some stats,
mm,
then and that's just going to take a block of hours, then it might make sense to do that then. But then you need breaks around it to give your brain a chance to recover.
mm,
Um, but yeah, absolutely. You can do it for in short bursts. You can do that longer working occasionally. But otherwise the breaks. And I said Pomodoro does work for a lot of people. But I think what you pointed out is really important too, but to do it flexibly, not to be too rigid. If you do suddenly find yourself in flow,
yeah,
just keep going until the flow
yeah,
stops and then take your break. Um, but yeah, a lot of people find that really helpful.
yeah. And I I think whether it was with sport or studying, I really believed in flow state and trying to get into a flow state, which is counterintuitive because you can't try to be into flow state. You kind of have to let it happen. And one of the ways that kind of I try to optimize the situation for me to go into flow state is if I just kind of study for a few minutes and keep and try at some point it will I will like fall into a flow
Mm.
state. Like it's anyone who
Yeah, you can't force yourself into it, but you can create the circumstances that make it
exactly
more likely.
yeah
And
exactly
that's again about the experimentation for yourself to
yeah
work out what are the circumstances that are most likely to allow you to go into flow. Now, again, notifications switched off, phone switched off, really helps with that.
mm,
Being rested and feeling that you've got energy definitely helps you go into
mm,
flow state. And being interested in what you're studying,
yeah
starting with something that you're
yeah
interested in, that you care about, really helps you go into it. And if you get that kind of mix of curiosity, well-being, and lack of distraction,
mm,
you create the circumstances, and then also be willing to work around all of that. So some people find reading something unrelated, first of all, or even reading fiction before you sit down to work on it, just for 5 or 10 minutes, just to get your brain into that kind of focused state, and then you transfer your focus. Or some people find music can help at the beginning.
mm,
So it's just about, or some people find that actually going for a walk, setting your desk up and then going for a walk first, gets you into flow first. So it's just about experimenting and looking for the thing that works for you, that creates the ideal circumstances when you could go into flow.